Let's talk about what I call the 2020 Winter Challenge. I've had a bunch of different names for this as the weeks and months have rolled on, but let's just kind of talk about where we are right now. We're in a period of time that I call post-election and pre-inauguration, and there's all kinds of stress, as we know, about that. We are in the period of time where there's still kind of social unrest, racial unrest that is being addressed and resolving in a variety of different ways, and lots of challenges there that are impacting people. Certainly, the COVID results themselves are challenging. We thought we were a little bit ahead of the curve, and now things are getting tough again. The vaccine status is sounding hopeful, and things are moving along well, but it's still not clear how that schedule is going to actually work and how it's going to roll out. Clearly, improvement is ahead, but we don't know exactly when. So there's still stress from that. Families are impacted with travel plans for the holidays. Thanksgiving was different than any of us have ever experienced before. Christmas or Hanukkah, for those that celebrate that, are also heading up to be different. Parents with young kids, my goodness, what an impacted group. And with the changes in schools, going remote, going hybrid, back to in-person, that's another level, another layer of challenge that's on top of everything. And then on top of that, just good old-fashioned business results. We're at the end of the year. People are rushing and crunching to get their year-end goals accomplished. That's been a challenge. 2021 goals are hard for people to put their finger on, but that's in the mix as well right now. So it's fair to say that there's an awful lot that's impacting our teams, ourselves, our employees, our leaders. And now is the time to stop and just pause for a little bit and look at some ways that could help. So one of the things that is important to note that we have been in similar situations before. Certainly, the world has evolved and survived and thrived even after some major events. I think it's important, as I said, to just focus a little bit on what we can do practically to help our teams get stronger so that when the success comes, as it comes in 2021, and I do believe it's going to come in fits and starts, but then really fast. We're all ready and on board, and our employees are fully engaged, and they haven't moved off to some other employer, and they're here to work with us to get better. So let me start with what I call tip one. And tip one is a really important one. I'll say that with every one of these 7, but showing empathy as a leader is really important. There is no more important time than right now to kind of get personal with people, to really understand what it is that's impacting them, to give them the opportunity to feel safe, to share with you, and for you to share, frankly, with what may be going on under the surface. This is a time for leaders to remember that it's not your perspective that matters all the time, it's their perspective. The second tip that I'd like to share is this is the time to be open with your team, to let them know what's going on, to give them as much information as you can about where things are and where things are headed. Obviously, this is something that has to be done very carefully. There are certainly things, as we all know, as business people, that are confidential and are not able to be shared. But I think being open with people to the extent that you can tell them, even to say, I don't have all the information right now, but as soon as I have it, as soon as I'm able, I will share it with you. So the third tip that I want to share, and this is also very important, is for leaders to show a vision, to give a vision to their employees of what's ahead, of what they see as ahead, of what is a possibility ahead. Now, this is not promising things. This is not, presenting either doom and gloom or, rose-colored glasses, all optimistic stuff. But it's a chance for leaders to say, this is where I see us going. And I'd really like to have you on board to help. But I think, as we're being empathetic, as we're listening to people, as we're, being personal, I think really knowing that you're listening to them and getting input, not judging it. There's something called feed forward that I like to talk about, and that's where you ask for input, leaders ask for input, and just say thank you, not, oh, that won't work, or we did that before, or whatever. Just say thank you. So giving praise is my next bullet point. Very important right now. Even the smallest things being accomplished are being done so in a remarkable way, given all that everyone is dealing with. I also think the corollary to this is to be really, really careful about criticism right now. I think it's really important for leaders up and down the chain to be super focused on, if you are going to give negative feedback, make sure it's a really critical point to give feedback on. Let's not be nitpicking. There's enough tension, enough anxiety in this space that we don't need to add it for minor things. So the sixth bullet I'd like to speak about is follow-up. As I noted, it's really important to take this input from people and actually follow up. I think regular scheduled one-on-one discussions with employees is very important. I think team scheduled time is very important. But I also think really, really informal time is important too, especially, a lot of us have lost that water cooler interaction space. So one of the things that I've done that's been helpful and I recommend and have seen implemented is an open house. Schedule a time each week where it's just a block of time, let's say an hour or 2 hours, where you're available, you're on the phone. Depending on the circumstance, maybe your leadership team is on the phone, and people can just kind of call in and raise a question. Maybe something in all of your communications didn't quite get through to them, and it gives them a chance to just, again, informally pick your brain. So I really think this is an important and effective tip. So the number 7 tip that I'll share, and this is, again, I've said it with each one of these, this is a really important one, is to stay focused on the basics. Really important. There's nothing that calms people more than knowing we're still pursuing our goals. We might have had to adjust our goals, but we're still pursuing our goals. We still support the mission and vision and values of our organizations. Everything we do is based on those. We are focused on the safety of our teams. We are focused on quality. We remain focused on our customers. That's the most important. These messages are critically valuable at this point in time. As I said, we may have had to adjust those, but we're still on the same, goes back to vision. We're still on the same vision. We're just doing things a little bit differently. This might be a real good time to do a very strong communication to your team, kind of pull everybody together, talk about what's been accomplished. Again, give praise and give credit for the many things that people have done this year, and kind of go out with a bang so that as we're moving into next year and things begin to turn around, we've got your strongest performers still there. They haven't gone off to some new booming, attractive industry. Your best and brightest remain your best and brightest, and you have incredible success going forward.